State your names, please.
My name is Hali Abdoulie Gai.
Where do you live?
I live Canifing Estate.
You work at the Gambia Ferry Services?
Yes.
Company Limited?
Yes.
You're the managing director?
No, I am the deputy managing director, Ferry Services. Deputy managing director. The managing director is the managing director of the Gambia Ports Authority.
Thank you. Would you like to sit down?
Yes, thank you very much.
Mr. Gai, I'm going to show you Exhibit SC35, which is a joint venture agreement between the Republic of the Gambia and Galia Holdings Limited. And I draw your attention in particular to page 21.
Yes.
You signed that agreement?
Yes.
And it says you signed as a duly appointed for and on behalf of the Republic of the Gambia on the 5th of March 2011. Mr. Gai, can you tell us about this agreement, the circumstances leading to your signing this agreement, and what it's about? I'm sure, as you're aware, we are looking into the application of substantial resources by the Gambia Ports Authority and the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation in relation to the acquisition of ferries under this agreement. So we would like you to assist the Commission. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, ma'am. I think the first thing to say is there was a task force set up by the Office of the President. This was 17th of February 2011, and the task force had a term of reference. And the task force, the following were the members. The Secretary General, Office of the President, was the chairperson of the task force. The Permanent Secretary, Office of the President, a member. Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. The Managing Director, Gambia Ports Authority. Myself, as Officer in Charge Ferries. The Chief Executive, GAIPA. The Solicitor General, Attorney General's Chambers. And His Excellency, Mr. Kebature, Ambassador to Greece.
Could you, apart from yourself, we only know you in person, could you tell us who the people were holding the various offices that you mentioned, starting with the Secretary General, Office of the President?
Mr. Njoguba. Mr. Njoguba was Secretary General, Office of the President. The Permanent Secretary, Office of the President, was Mustafa Yabo.
Mustafa?
Yabo.
Yabo.
Yabo, yes. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance, was then Morseka. The Managing Director, Gambia Ports Authority, was Modlamin Diba. Myself, I was Officer in Charge for Ferries.
Officer in Charge of Ferries.
OIC. Then the Chief Executive, GAIPA, was Mrs. Jallo, Fatoumata, Mrs. Fatou Jallo. GAIPA, Chief Executive GAIPA. The Solicitor General was Pahari Jami. and the ambassador to Spain was His Excellency Keba Toure.
Thank you very much. You can continue.
Then there was a task force. This was the task force, and the chairman, of course, later changed from the Secretary General to the Chief Executive Gai. So we were given a deadline to make sure that we fulfill our term of reference. The term of reference, among others, is to determine the statement of assets and liabilities of the ferries, to review the partnership between the government and the Greek partners, the incorporation of the company, to determine the working capital requirement of the new company, the management structure of the new company. But I think it's important when we talk about the partnership with the Greeks. One thing that pushes all of us, there was a meeting, one day we were in our office, then I was just the Director of Revenue Generation Marketing.
Please speak distinctly and slow, a little bit slower into the mic so that the Commission can follow you, yes. You said
an incident, very important incident here, that is, we were called at the boardroom, then the Managing Director was Molamin Jiba. Then he called us for a meeting. Mr. Mustafa Yabo from the Office of the President came with some Europeans. They were Greeks. And we came to the boardroom and we were told that these are investors. So they said they have ferries in Greece, they can solve Banjul Bara problem and so on. Then they left. They were not very happy with the reception they have from us. Because we said it's important we carry out due diligence, and we were very professional in our approach. A few days later, we were summoned at the office of the President.
By we, who do you mean? Sorry. By we, who do you mean?
I mean the management of Gambia Ports Authority.
All right.
So we were summoned at the office of the President. Myself, Mr. Molamin Jiba, the late Captain Asbai, and others. Some service chiefs were there, and the matter was about these Greeks.
Who were the service chiefs? Who were there?
The head of the army, the head of the police. I'm not sure the third one. I cannot remember the third one.
Who was the head of the army at the time?
It was in 2011. I don't know. I cannot remember exactly. But I remember the head of the police was, I think, Jesus.
Was?
They call him Jesus. I'm sorry to say Jesus.
All right.
You know? But we were lambasted. That occasion, the President was very mad on us.
Sorry, you were saying you were summoned to the office of the President. Who summoned you?
No, the Managing Director said we have to go and answer to the President.
So when you went, you...
So we went, the President, you know, appeared and sat, and then it was about the Greeks. He said, you know, why did he send people there, and then we were negative. And, you know, he was very angry with us. In fact, it was, you know, the environment was definitely unbearable to us. So in the end, it was like we were subject to, like, kind of apologizing to the President. So I think that is very important.
Who apologized to the President?
Yes, to say that
who apologized?
From henceforth, we will give cooperation.
Did you agree you did not cooperate with the Greeks?
No, we were just professional. It's like, you know, we say, come up with your proposal, you know.
Sorry,
we want
Mr. Gai, what I want to know, did you admit to the President that you were uncooperative with the Greeks?
No, the President did not allow us to say anything. He he lambasted us, say all what he wanted to say. He never invited any opinion from us. Nothing. We sat there and we are just like kids.
Were the Greeks present?
Huh?
Were the Greeks present? The Europeans you were talking about?
No. The Europeans were not there.
You
know, other people were there. You know, other people were there. You know.
From the office of the President, who was present?
My memory, I cannot remember who was.
Was the Secretary General present?
No, the Secretary General was not there in that meeting. I cannot remember. Definitely, I cannot remember. But definitely, you know, the table was almost full, the round table.
Go ahead.
Can I proceed?
Yes, yes, proceed.
Okay, so then we were called to later to a meeting of the task force. And we were told at the task force that the Greeks, they have some vessels that are available for inspections. Then a few days later, I was called by my managing director, because Ferries is under GPA, was owned 100% by GPA. So it does not have an MD. So I was told by my MD, Mr. Molamingiba, that myself and a technical person, Mr. Keba Mane, who is a technical electronic engineer, are bound to join the delegation to travel to Greece to inspect the ferries. So we left with the delegation comprised of the following. His Excellency Keba Esture, Ambassador to Greece, Hali Jama, Solicitor General, myself, Hali Gai, Officer in Charge Ferry Services, Modu Sabali, Director of Budget.
Director of Budget?
Yes, then he was at the
Ministry of Finance.
Yes. Mr. Keba Mane, manager, technical manager. We arrived in Athens 3rd March. Then we joined the Greeks to inspect the ferries. The ferries were operating at the time, just like in an area like Banjul Bara. They are landing crafts. So we boarded them with...
sorry, you call them landing crafts?
Landing craft, because they only have a front landing system. Unlike roll-in, roll-out ferries. So we were joined by George Karakakis, who is a naval architect and a marine engineer.
Can you spell the name, please?
George, G-O-R-G-E, Karakakis is K-A-R-A-K-A-S-I-S. He's a naval architect and a marine engineer. We inspected the vessels. Myself, my background is I'm a transport planner. From my own perspective, that is the capacity I was looking at. The capacity was adequate. But I was working for the ferries as head, and one thing was very important, and that is the report I have submitted here.
You're reading from a report?
No, I'm just taking some of the points. I'm not reading.
All right.
Okay. I stated that all the ferries must be subject to dry docking for rehabilitation and refurbishment, and to be verified by the technical team prior to sea trials. This was not done.
Prior to?
Sea trials.
Oh, all right.
Like seaworthiness, before you have it, in other words, roadworthiness, you have to qualify certain things in any form of transport. You have to meet certain pre-qualifications to be called seaworthy or roadworthy. So dry docking, after dry docking, before the sea trials, they are supposed to be a technical team to carry out the technical verification of the bottom of all these things. But this was not done.
This was not done?
It was not done.
Who was supposed to do it?
No, the point is the arrangements were, like, it's all the time coming from the office of the president to tell you, do this. And honestly speaking, at the time, you know, people, even though sometimes all what you can do is just to write.
To
but
what?
there are certain, in certain instances, you can write, but not all the time. So it was like, it was managed at the office of the president, to be candid. The whole project was being managed at the office of the president, the secretary general, and the president. So this joint venture you are talking about was the Solicitor General.
You mean the joint venture you signed?
Yeah, the sign.
Yeah.
I signed. The Solicitor General, they reviewed the document. I was just in my hotel. So I just came and I was told, look, there's this power of attorney. You as head of ferries to sign. Then
so it was signed on that mission?
Yes, that mission. They said, yes, you sign. I said, okay, but before I sign, you as Secretary General also have to sign. As I was very adamant on that. So if you look at the joint agreement, it was myself I signed, but Pahari Jame signed. I said it because I believe I did not have the legal framework. I didn't know anything about it. But him who reviewed the document and everything, if he signed, he should be in a better position to explain. That was it. There was a powerful attorney to sign. And it's also stated in my letter here that I was shown this power of attorney. I can give you the reference. It's there to sign the memorandum, the joint venture.
Had you not been given the power of attorney before you left?
No, no, no. I was not given. I was not even. It was not even impressed on me that you will go and sign. In fact, I was caught unawares because I was in charge of ferries.
All right. Let's make some progress. You signed.
Yes, I signed.
Yes. So what happened?
Yes, I signed, and then we came back. I sent a report to the office of the president, and like I told you, I made these points.
You sent a report to the office of the president?
Yes, that is the report.
Is that the report?
Yes.
Is that a clean copy?
This is a copy. Yes, I can give it to you.
Is it a clean copy of the report? No markings, no changes?
No, of course, I have just put a reference there that I need to explain.
All right.
Yes, but other than that, you know, it's just a reference. Maybe if I give
out a reference of what?
This is reference to the. It's a reference for the report of the task force, because I searched it among my documents, but I remember I gave a copy to the person, the secretary of the commission.
The report is no longer in the port's files?
No, no, because, no. At one time I was working for the port as ferries. I was sacked, dismissed.
But you are back in the ports, are you not?
No, just recently, reinstated.
Yes.
Recently.
I think we would prefer you locate the copy in the port since you are part of the administration now. If you can refer to any documents, I'm sure they'll facilitate you having access to whatever documents that you need.
I can tell you, you know, remember, I just want to take you back. After we were sacked, myself and Mr. Tambedu, we were being prosecuted relating to these ferries. And because, you know, there was a conspiracy, they took all these documents out.
All right. Can you give us the date of that report? We will take your copy,
yes,
but give us the date.
It's 7 March.
7 March?
2011.
So you came back from the mission,
then
you wrote that, you submitted that report to the Secretary General, Office of the President.
Yes.
Was your MD aware of the report?
Yes, of course. Of course. You know, I can't do that without...
All right.
Yes.
After, well, towards the end of your testimony, we'll take the documents that you have. If you have more documents, you can show us. So after you wrote that report, what was the purpose of your writing that report?
Because I went on behalf of ferries. I think it's proper, you know, if they are talking about ferries over there, so I should write to explain my position as officer in charge ferries. One, what I have seen in and the team, what we have engaged in, because it's divided into inspection of vessel, signing of the MOAs and the joint venture agreement, opening of a joint account, and then the things that I consider need to be prioritized.
What about the opening of a joint account?
The joint account, this was a joint account between Gambia Holding Limited and Government of the Gambia, was opened in euro and dollar. His Excellency Keba Toure and Mr. Momadou Sabali signed for the Gambia as authorized by power of attorney. The reference is here also.
Who decided that a joint account should be opened?
That was above me, ma'am. I was only concerned about ferries. But these things, I was present, I made sure in my report I captured it. But
all right, let's move on. So after you wrote that report, what happened?
Then there was this executive, of course, the task force was having its meeting. I came back to the task force to report to the task force also. Then there was this executive directive. The executive directive was for the government of the Gambia agreeing to take 45% of the shares, and then for Galia to take 55. Then this 45, this executive directive was addressed to the managing director of Gambia Port Authority to pay the 1.70 for the vessel.
All right, we are listening, Mr. Gai. We are listening. Let's make progress. So what happened?
Yes, so the amount was paid. The amount was paid. It was taken to our board of directors. There was a board resolution. You know, management was fully aware, and we paid. Over time, you know, the board, the companies were incorporated. There were 4 companies. They were all incorporated by the task force. Then on the 3rd May, the task force submitted its report to the office of the president with recommendations. A copy of that task force report has been submitted to the commission. Mine is lost. I submitted it, but I did not. I failed to have a copy.
Who submitted it to the commission?
Myself. I submitted it to Mr. Ba. I don't know one.
Oh, you mean the investigators?
The investigators, yes.
All right, we'll retrieve a copy.
Yes.
No, sorry, maybe it's here. Yes, what was special about that report?
Sorry, Council. I think it's now 10 past 1.
So, all right. May I then apply just to admit the document he referred to? So
very well.
So that we can then stop here.
Yes, and he can come back.
Can we have your report, the one that you admitted to? You referred to, sorry. Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have admitted a letter from Gambia Ports Authority to the Secretary General, signed by the witness, dated the 7th March 2011, concerning a mission to Greece for the inspection of the intended ferries for the Gambia and signing of memorandum of agreements and joint venture between the Republic of the Gambia and Galia Holdings. Did you sign a memorandum of agreement apart from the joint venture agreement?
Yes, Mr. Jabate submitted that.
No, what Mr. Jabate submitted wasn't a memorandum of agreement signed by the government.
Memorandum of agreement and the joint venture. Those
if you have signed, we will look. You will give them to us when you come back. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you submitted.
letter dated 7th March 2011 by Officer in Charge Ferry Services to Secretary General, Office of the President, mission to Greece for the inspection of intended ferries for the Gambia and signing of memorandum of agreements and joint venture between the Republic of the Gambia and Gallia Holdings, admitted Mark SC 39.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Gai, you'll be required to come back on Monday at 10.